We are back from break. As the others return from their duties, we do have a Dark Wolf playing Noralai and her brother Loki Adius, or just Loki for short. And we have Coffee playing Mordecai with us. We are picking up with the group leaving the unconscious goblin untied and behind at the grave site of the attack. And, there's another member of the party who has inadvertently joined, and that is Tig the Goblin, who you all are learning a little bit about goblin physiology and culture, ? As you continue on, because, your host here and your driver of the wagon, Galvin, is concerned that there's going to be a reprisal attack from the goblins that escaped. They're going to go tell the others and come back in greater numbers. Aha, we have a lethality playing Celine as well. So, you are back on the road. I mean, you never left the road, but you are making forward progress. And as you're traveling through the countryside, it is the height of summer. That being said, it does speak to the hour because the sun is setting. And it's darker here in the valleys of the hills because the hills are blocking more sun. So it's already dim light, even though if you weren't in this particular area, you would probably still have at least another half hour or so before it would get this dark normally.
If only we had dark vision.
Well, yeah. Oh, so for those of you with dark vision, it's not going to be a problem. For now, but it will become dark soon, so everything will turn black and white in a short radius around you. But yes, you are on the road. In the immediacy of leaving the goblin and the graves behind, do you have anything in particular while you have this hour of, or the remainder of the hour with Tig being able to speak to you through the tongues spell? And of course, you also have Galvin, who might be able to answer questions, but I, as the DM telling you as the players, he is not in a sing-songy mood right now, as he's more or less just on guard. He's looking around, he's trying to be very perceptive for other attacks or whatever might happen down the road. So he's tensed up, but if you want to interact with him, you are going to have to interact with him. He won't be voluntary in bringing stuff up. Also, Timberwolf Brother, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome to you all. Welcome from your game to ours. And more wolves, yes.
So
more wolves.
One of the things that Mordecai would want to ask is, what would prompt them to attack?
Usually, as far as we can tell, it might be hunger. It could be someone in the community roiled up a nest nearby. The others decided to hop in on it too. They're rather, as much as you want to think they're like us, with thinky thoughts and all, they're also rather bestial. So sometimes you can't, to think like a goblin, you can't think like a person.
What's that supposed to mean? Because Tig is very smart.
Thank you. I know a couple things. I know I can count to 5 on a hand. That's new. I grew this not too long ago. The other goblins had 4 fingers.
You only had 4 fingers before?
Yeah, when I was first found, goblins have 4 fingers out in the wild. But I've been around with the Canberras for so long and the other dwarves of Breezebane that I ended up getting a 5th. I believe this one's called a pinky.
Huh. Yeah, gnomes don't have pinkies, which is kind of ironic. I'm kind of.
You sure, Brett? I could have sworn you had a pinky before.
I mean, they're all pinkies in a sense. No. It's always been like that. You probably just
swear.
had to check the pictures to be sure. So that's yeah.
But
I wonder what the origin of these little gobos is. Now I'm really curious.
Celine, make another investigation for me.
Investigation.
Oh,
That's a great
green
number.
That's a natural 20.
So, after all of this conversation that's been going on, the stress, some of it has relieved a little bit, though you're still on guard for a possible other attack. And after all of this, and you're like, I'm tired of being called fat, and and it's something about changelings, and then we get down to, and then Bright is talking about. I could have sworn she had pinkies. She doesn't, but man. You're thinking about it, Bright, and the topic had come up before too. About Ouijas and just kind of a denial of food sources, and it was gnomes and elves that primarily, like, why was Ouijas kind of going after that? And your mind is just sort of everywhere. It's a buzz, it's a stir, and then just something turns over in your brain. Faye? Is there some sort of a Fae influence, origin, or attachment that the goblins have?
Maybe.
I mean, that's the obvious conclusion. Yeah, is that they could be Fae descended. Maybe someone in the city will know lore about the goblins and where they came from.
I can tell you some. Only that they've been not quite opponents of ours, but pests in the countryside for a great long while. Ever since we started going out into the Queensland here. So they've been here for just as long. I don't know about longer, because we've been around for a great long while. But they've always just kind of been there.
It's always just been like that, where they're just wild creatures that occasionally harass people on the road.
Well, you gotta understand, we haven't exactly been out in the countryside for a great long while. And that while that we have been, we've encountered way more Bogans than we've ever had. You don't have to worry about them under the mountain. They've always just sort of been roaming around in the outback here. Just sort of a natural pest, if you think about it. Not that I really see Tig here as a pet per se, but, she's also not exactly...
but she...
a person?
Whether she can understand you.
Yeah, well, and Tig goes, I can understand you really well right now. If I'm not a person, what am I? Oh, well, crackers, you can understand me.
That's awfully rude.
Well, I don't know how else to define her. She's an in-betweener. I don't know exactly what to make of her, other than she's really made herself into us. She acts well enough. Found her when she was just a little gobshite. And
yet you only just now started teaching her Dwarvish.
Well, no, she's learned, she hasn't exactly... Despite her voluptuous appearance, she's, Gobos, they live rather short lives. As such, their maturity's rather compressed. She's not terribly old, at least from when we first got her. Unless she's been eating our food, and that's really been what's adding to her growth. Only just recently is a bit of a weird concept, given her state of things.
How old are you, Tig?
Oh, well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or actually, she goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She switches because the whole pinky thing. She realizes she can go up to 5 on one hand. I'm 6.
6 years.
A year? Winter? Yeah, I've had 6 winters.
6 winters.
Yeah, that's old for as far as we know a goblin. Creatures live rough, brutal lives. Yeah, they're born, they grow up really quick. That's why they can be such a pest. And, well, as far as I know, as a domesticated one, she's done really well for herself. I honestly don't know how long they live.
Domesticated.
Yeah, have you seen the ones out in the wild?
Based on that as observation, based on what you're saying, is you have very little understanding of the creatures around you. Much less if they're civilized or have a culture of their own out in the wild. They may choose to live that way. Have you ever thought of that?
Frankly, there's a lot of other things that I've been thinking about before any of them. So you'll have to pardon me if I haven't gone out to, walk amongst the goblins.
Or the Eatlands.
Or the Eatlands. Not exactly a whole bunch of you, well, not that you're native to these parts, but the only ones of you that come over here come over with the Shadahar. And, well, you're guests, but you ain't exactly invited.
Well, that's understandable. But
We know a thing or two about the Shadahar.
it's obvious that Tig is intelligent, and she can speak. At the very least, she's not a pet. And you've only really just taught her basic verbiage in Dwarvish.
That's all I figured
dare
that she
you.
can handle. If you want to keep
dare
using your
I?
magic spells on her, hey, I won't stop you. I'd actually probably draw the line if you wanted to take her with you, because she's actually quite endearing to us. But, I mean...
The nerve of this guy.
Oh, the nerve of this guy.
Tig,
I'm taking you to go see the bloody king of our people after one day. I'm doing you a favor, and you're going to come up here and
I
criticize me that the wildlife has, certain,
no, I
traits
was
that
gonna
you...
whisper to Tig. Well, while he's ranting,
Yeah.
I was gonna whisper to Tig. Hey, if you ever don't like it here, you can come to Mesomaska with us. I have an orphanage, and you can stay there with us.
What's an orphan? Are they tasty? Can you eat them?
No, it's a person who doesn't have parents. Kind of like you don't have parents.
I don't have parents.
Yeah.
I'm an orphan.
So, yeah. So if you wanted to come with us, I promise I can take very good care of you, and I will treat you like a person.
And you don't have parents either?
No.
We're like sisters. She gives you a big squishy hug.
I pat her head.
Tig looks over to Celine and Mordecai. Are you orphans too?
No.
Oh, your parents
No,
are
my
still
parents
alive?
have
She
been-
almost says with, like, mournful regret.
Yeah, my parents are still alive. Separated, but still alive.
I have no idea.
You should find that out at some point.
No, I really shouldn't.
You never really did explain why it is that you have chosen not to speak to your parents again.
And I think that's better left like that.
Do you want to be an orphan? She says with almost a glimmer in her eye.
Celine kind of stops thinking about this. don't have to kill my parents who may or may not be still alive, Tig. I appreciate the sentiment, but I'm going to politely decline.
Yeah, see, she's a treat, says Galvin.
She really is.
But really, though, Celine, why don't you talk to your parents?
That's a conversation better left for private discussion.
Well, okay. You will tell me at some point, right?
At some point.
You get pretty dodgy with questions about your history.
Well, yes, because I don't particularly feel like reliving horrible memories.
Well, look, I don't know about you. I could really go for a story right now. I know I was doing a lot of singing back then. Frankly, not in the mood. Not when I have to keep an eye peeled. So, one of you talk about something. I'll tell you what. Mordecai, look, make amends. I'll ask you a question. I saw you had some tattoos on your arms. Tell me about them while I drive us further.
Well, they're more like a memory. A memory that I look at every day. The stars that I have on the back of my hands represent Corinna. The moons represent me. The night sky in my tattoos is kind of symbolic.
Hold on. Corinna, what's that? Is that one of them constellations? Like a formation of things you see in the stars?
No, that's my dead fiance.
Oh, apologies.
Yeah, she passed away 12, 13 years ago. I've lost track now. I got those shortly after leaving home. The kind of galaxy pattern on my arms, that I got during the circus. Kind of part of an act, but also kind of representing some of the visions that I would have on Luciferase.
Oh, I heard about that. Hell of a drug.
It is. Makes you see some wild things.
That'll make you go blind.
Make you see some wild things. And when I would look at the night sky when on Luciferase, I would see brilliant, vivid colors. And I wanted a copy of that on my arms.
Yeah, now
And then Zion helped me get over Luciferase as a drug.
Now wait, Zion is?
Another past lover.
Oh. Alright, sorry I asked.
So far as I know, he's still alive. Just not here. And then when he and I had a falling out, he stole a locket that was very precious to me. It was pure platinum, the one that I had gotten for Corinna for our wedding.
Fair dinkum.
I spent a lot of money on that, and he stole it from me. That was the last I saw of him. Shortly after that, the circus disbanded. I was stranded at Southport. Decided, you know what? Fuck Mesomaska. I'm out of here. And so I made my way north towards Mask of Flowers. And
North,
that's where And that's where I met all of these fine folk.
Hey, you went even further north, it seems.
Yeah,
I'll tell
to
you,
Shadahar and now to Austria?
El Austria. If it's easier, just call it the Queensland.
Queensland. Right. And that's that.
You know,
Basically my life story.
I get the tattoos. I mean, it's not as common among our folk, but I have to ask. I mean, the topic of Eatlands was brought up as well by you. And frankly, I don't believe that we in particular have a story beyond the fact that rumored, your people is the ones that ate the dragons to look like you do. So how do you explain your colors? Because, like, you're blue, and they're purple, and I've seen others of different colors, too. How does that work? Do you eat something?
Well,
I mean, not a dragon. Maybe it was a dragon, but I'm not saying it's a dragon. How do you...
Well, both my parents... Well, my dad was like a bluish purple, and my mom was like a reddish purple. So we just ended up a pretty even purple.
Yeah, but how are you purple to begin with?
Funny story, actually.
I don't know, melanin?
Stories told that dragons lived ages ago, and that humans lived amongst them. Humans and dwarves, I believe.
Oh, for sure. Too right.
Then there was also giants and fae, and eventually something possessed tieflings and humans to hunt down the dragons. And then one such dragon, a silver one I think, was devoured. Her and her clutch of hatchlings. By a demon lord named Mercury.
I can't say I've heard this tale before. You actually haven't, like, his tonal shift and even his body language. He's still looking forward, but I mean, as a performer, for at least a former performer, like, you know that you have captured his interest with this tale, and he's not leaning into it very physically, but the way that he's carrying himself and his voice, he is listening.
The stories also say that the Lady of Death is merely a giant herself.
No.
Yeah. Merely a giant herself, having collected so many souls over the eons that her power is that of a god.
I don't know what type of giant would be like that. Not from our tales, anyway. But I suppose, every tale's a bit of truth in it.
There might be some truth to it.
If you cut me some slack on Tig, I'm willing to cut you some slack on the things that you're telling me as well. Maybe we can both learn and improve.
What would you say if you knew what was causing the world to undergo the changes that it is and causing it to die? What would you do? One man, what would you do?
If I could save the world?
What would you do to save the world? Knowing that this thing is bigger than you. This thing is beyond your comprehension. What would you do?
You know what? You'll call me an absolute, well, I'm sure a whole slew of names. I've actually thought a lot about this, Mordecai. I'm a guy who gets a lot of thinking in, and even about deepest stuff like this. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of things I do. They might not be too popular, but yeah, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, even if it means shaking things up with the times, huh? I'd probably go out and make allies. You know, look, even this whole country living is, you know, it's a step. I think it's a step in the right direction. Our people have flourished. Never then been more resources going into Alotsua. But I think there can actually be
You've been
more to
truly
it.
blessed in that regard.
It's something that, well, look. The way I see it, don't tell too many other people. I think we're a bit stuck in the times. There has to be some sort of a shakeup.
Well, we are one such group.
Yeah, well, apparently, you came up to Shadahar, you assassinated the Emperor, and now here you are. Maybe, you know, if I was the praying type, maybe my prayers have been answered. Not that I'd approach it necessarily the way that you had, but no small amount of us, probably a joke given your height, no small amount of us wanted to, you know, we're not exactly shedding tears over this news if it is in fact true.
Yeah. Just to clarify, don't say assassinated, say failed to save. Or possibly disintegrated. No, let's go with failed to save.
Possibly
Sorry, Brian,
disintegrated?
would you kind of repeat that? What did you do?
I don't think we actually discussed what it is you did.
Brian, what did you do?
Well, so...
Killed the Emperor. We've been over this.
No, I didn't
how?
really kill the Emperor. Mercury killed the Emperor. I just
Killed her while she was in transition?
Yeah, it just wasn't possible for me to save the Emperor. given the
Okay, but what
circumstances.
was this about disintegration? Oh, you
I
didn't.
disintegrated his body. But he wasn't in it anymore, so I didn't really kill him. I killed Mercury. He was already gone when it happened.
You disintegrated. Oh, right.
Well,
Right. I mean,
well,
I get it. There's no judgment. I get what you did, what you had to do, but that's a little cold, even for you.
I mean, look who's talking.
What else would she would have done?
But also, it was Mercury. It only looked like the Emperor. We've been over this 100 times. It's just
Oh
like
yeah,
the
yes.
vampire.
No, that's why I'm
They
not.
look like you, but it's not really you.
No, I get that. I'm just disintegration.
To be fair,
Really?
Jade also had that same mentality towards me when I was a vampire.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of the mentality or why Bright had to do what she did. It's not the fact that the thing happened. It's just the exact mechanism.
I mean,
Like, you couldn't have fireball?
I could have.
I mean, that would have been extremely excruciating.
Yeah.
It sounds like you put him down right quick.
Is less painful and more effective. I mean, just imagine what if somebody brought him back as an undead and made him into a puppet emperor or something. It probably already was a puppet. So, I mean, I just wanted to
Actually,
preclude all
you
those
know, I didn't
potential
think about the.
problems.
I actually didn't think about the animation angle about that. No, you're right. You're exactly right.
Says the woman who actually can animate corpses.
Yeah, I mean, I can animate them too. I just usually don't. It's one of those things that
I choose not
usually
to.
don't.
That's not something that I like to see. That's taboo.
Look.
Oh, I should try that while I'm here.
I'm trying to forget that, right? I haven't done it in a long time. Okay.
It's been since the desert.
The desert was several years ago, Mordecai.
From my perspective, it was several months.
Mordecai,
Celine.
I love you,
Mm-hmm.
but shut up.
No. No. You can't really tell me what to do. I'm older than you.
Oh, please don't remind me of that. And it's not
Just
the way you and out of character, it's not for the reason you're thinking. Yes, I don't want to be reminded of the fact that the needs for me to stick around is slowly killing my husband. I wish not to be reminded of that. Thank you.
The sun has set behind the hills. It is now fully dark as you are pushing further on. And I will say that you have gotten Galvin to actually laugh, and his body posture is a lot more relaxed now. He's not quite as snippy or defensive as he has been on this last leg of the journey. And in the darkness, you continue to travel. He tells you that there's probably some biting bugs that are going to come out now that it's dark. So just as a heads up, if you feel a little pinch, it's one of them. And you continue down the road. After a short while, you can actually see some lights in the distance. As it looks like there's a small community off to one side of a valley, and there's a more concentrated cluster of lights on the other. And he tells you, yeah, there it is. We're getting close now. If you gotta do anything, well, let me know if you gotta stop off and answer Nature's call or something before we get there. I can't promise it once you have the audience hall that you'll get a break.
I think we should be fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, well, eat up too while you can. Drink what you will. I don't know what's exactly going to happen when we get there.
Do you think that your king would be open to such choice?
Oh, I'm sure he would be. Look, he's a man who always loves a good tale. He's, of course, part of a royal line that itself is quite storied in several ways.
So how does the Io family relate to the, what was it, Tamworth family?
Yeah, the Tamworths.
That was the royals?
In effect, I guess you could say cousins. That might be the best way to describe it. There's some...
So they inherited the crown after the Tamworths were
Yeah, it was an indirect...
assassinated and or kidnapped.
Yeah, it was a bit of an indirect thing. Someone had to step up and, sticking with kin, there you go. A bit of a whirlwind from what the stories have told.
Wait, Tamworth, you say?
Yeah, Tamworth is the name of the royal line before Shadahar encroached on.
Yeah. But think of it for a second.
Bahamut Tamworth was the king.
Tamworth.
Yeah, they're named
What
after
could you
the
shorten?
dragons.
What could you shorten
but
that
it's
to?
But it's probably a coincidence, or maybe it's like an honor thing, or something. I mean,
Tam?
right? Yeah, no, they're named after the dragons, very obviously. But I mean,
Unless-
we know that they follow the.
Wait, but Tam's not an old dragon. Tam was recently created.
Yeah.
Do we know
I
that?
think that there were.
Yeah,
old
Mercury
dragons.
created her.
I think that there were old dragons with the same names.
Did Mercury
Possibly.
create her?
I assume so.
I don't know for sure.
We never got confirmation on that.
On what again?
Yeah, we. How
On if
many?
Mercury created Tam. I thought Abby said something along those lines.
It
was
was
the
heavily
implication, but-
implied that was the case, yes.
Just because it was implied.
Now,
doesn't
as
necessarily
for
mean
a
that's the
time
truth.
frame,
But it's not
saying
proof.
Mercury created Tam absolutely does not narrow down any sense of recentness. I mean, maybe on a
Right.
geological timescale of billions of years, yes, it was probably recent. but
At its core, no, it doesn't really, like,
yeah.
to our time scale,
And-
it doesn't narrow down anything.
And I'm sorry, I talked over you, Fluffy. What were you gonna say, as Bright?
No, I was just saying they're obviously named after the dragons, but we don't know, like, what that means. Actually, it's one of the things that I was hoping to ask, is whether that, I mean, we know that they remember the old days, and we know that they appreciate, like, they have a derogatory name for tieflings on account of the role that the tieflings played in the overthrow of the dragons. So we know that they're kind of dragon allies, or dragon honorers. Honorers.
Honorers.
So,
Hmm.
so, I mean, we know that. So they could just be named after them because they trace their line back to those days, or they were appointed by them somehow, or they were just to honor them. I don't know. But, I mean, there's certainly a connection. And I'm
Well, we know that the dragons more or less thought of the mortals that they cared for as pets.
probably more
Like
like
naming a pet.
I
Maybe.
mean, didn't you ever have, like, a favorite goat or favorite squirrel? Maybe not a
I
favorite
mean, I named all
squirrel.
of my pets.
I'm a city boy.
Hmm. Okay.
I
Pets in
didn't
the
grow
city.
up on a farm. Well, I didn't
I had-
have any pets. I had machines.
Did
That's
you
kinda
name
sad.
machines?
Not particularly. No. Well, I would call the things I would invent different things, but they were all garbage names, and I would rather not utter them again.
Gaspard names his machines, but maybe that's a known thing.
Well, I did name the things, but they were terrible names, even by Gaspard standards.
Oh, sorry. Clicked the wrong thing. That was an old slide from the near-death experience. I guess it was a deathly experience. It wasn't too near. It was a very
I'm
close.
just remembering now.
It was an in contact.
I mean, having machines. I mean, I know of a group of gnomes that were experimenting with something like that. They had this quadruped robot dog thing. It's like a machine, but it was also a pet, and it was kind of strange. What was the name of that group? Booston Demonics?
Hmm?
That's not something that I've heard of before. Is that a dragon graveyard thing or an Aslandia thing?
I think it was an Aslandia. Yeah, it's an Aslandia thing.
Oh. I'm learning more about
I heard about it
Aslandia.
when I heard about it when I was at school.
Ah.
The cart approaches, and as you're getting close, there is a keep. I mean, if you want to call it a castle, it's kind of generous. Certainly a fortified structure, and it is not technically built into the mountain, but it is certainly very close to the base. And Galvin tells you, "Yeah, we're here. Well, I hope you can stretch your legs and you can get out, practice your curtsies. You're now standing in the presence of New Denalas. That is the capital that, well, it's the remote from, the old Denalas is back under the mountain. This is the new Denalas.
Right, New Denalas.
Right.
So you get out, and there's the structure. And in fact, someone comes out and seems to know Galvin. They're speaking in Dwarvish, and there's an exchange. Someone goes to take the cart. Well, seems like I'm with you. I'm a guest as well, after all.
Then lead the way.
You walk inside after having a chance to, well, before you get to any sort of an audience hall or grand hall or otherwise, you're offered the chance to freshen up. And the people here are speaking just Dwarven to you. And Galvin is the one who's translating. And by the way, the tongues with Tig have long since expired.
That's long enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if any of you want to wash your faces or do whatever, get any sort of dust from the road, you can do so. Strange Trees, thank you. Welcome back with the raid. And you
Mordecai's
are
definitely going to freshen up.
you are taken inside, and as you're walking through the structure, you actually you do see a like the front of it, obviously minus the squiggles because that's all old stuff. So ignore the drawings. The structure does have more of a narrow, tall sense to it, with the arches and just a sense of height and a very solid nature to it. And for a very short people, they love to build very grand buildings, it would seem. As even in the town across the valley, as low as it's lit through, your refined eyesight and such, it seems to be a pretty good architectural constant. But you approach the doors to New Denales and walk inside. There are flags and images, actually, of presumably dragons and very tall people, at least according to the scale, as there are people who seem to be standing at the same height as dragons, too. You're seeing tower imagery. You're seeing just these signs of things that are big. And as you make your way through this keep, it's, again, not terribly large. It is an estate. It has something like a palace, but not the concept of a palatial estate. You come to a grand set of doors, carved stone. And the image that you see here is the image that is there on the doors. You can just imagine that there's a seam going down the middle. There appears to be a king, a bearded king, looking tired, sleepy. Maybe Mordecai, something in your heart stirs as you see the creatures holding up the table, and you remember your good old companion, Jasper, as the creatures there seemingly resemble that creature of lore from which you conjured Jasper. The old stories.
He does look kind of sleepy, and also grumpy, and maybe a little dopey. but none of the others.
He's not one dwarf, he's four.
And it's here that Galvin tells you, well, all right, have your best manners on. It seems like I'm going to be your translator. I wouldn't expect them to speak your language to you, though.
Mordecai,
Should I?
Can you maybe use tongues some more? I mean...
I would
is that
highly
what you
recommend no
cast?
magic. Please.
Oh,
That is going to cause a big dust up if you do. And they'll know, too.
But why?
We carry so many magical items.
Well,
Oh, we don't have to use them. But why?
I think it's a matter of
I mean-
fantastic spells.
If it's just a matter of translating, wouldn't that be okay?
if you want to,
Unless
you
they're
can,
magical.
but I'm telling you, you're not going to leave a good impression. Just because you can do
However, I
something
don't
doesn't
live.
necessarily mean that you do, and there's a bit of an ancient accord. I don't expect you to know it, but, if we're possibly
interested
inviting
in
the
ancient
people who murdered the
accords.
Emperor to our own king, you might want to cool it.
No, sure, I know, but I'm always interested in ancient accords. Maybe you can tell me about that when Do we have time, or we could do it after?
Yeah, well, it'd have to be after. I think we're already here.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
that's fine.
we want to make a good impression, so let's maybe hold off on that for a moment.
Yeah, and, let's just open the door. One more thing I gotta tell you, but I think it's better you see it first. Hold on. I'm gonna need, I'd like to think I could do it myself, but, quite frankly, I can't. I need your all's help to open the doors, please.
Push.
I could cast knock.
But...
Maybe I.
Uh, but by the way, Tig was left in the cart. She is definitely not allowed in this building.
Oh, yeah, that's fine. We don't need Tig right now.
But there are 6 of you. So you say you can cast knock, and Galvin just looks, just stares daggers at you. It can open on its own if you push.
Gnomish humor.
Now put your back into it.
Huh, man? I'm pretty sure none of us have a backbone.
Mordecai just looks at you like deadpan. It's like,
Okay,
help
that's
with-
a metaphor. I just mean that like things are things are heavy and none of us are really like strong.
yeah, we're not very strong, but if we all work together, we got this.
I could use.
So
a
like,
big
why would they
hand.
make a door that wasn't easy to open?
There's some things you just gotta do. Now push, please.
Push.
Pushing.
I've also got pass wall.
No.
Upon pain of death, no magic. Here's a list of spells I can use. As you all push, the doors actually swing open very silently and smoothly. In fact, Mordecai, no offense, but you could probably just push one of these doors open yourself. But 3 to a door. Yeah, you push, and they open up, and you find yourselves, in a hall. There are 3 people ahead of you on a raised, on a raised area at the end. There are strong pillars holding up this place, but again, you get that imagery of things that are tall, things that are strong, and
Pizza?
more images on the flags here of dragons and giants, of towers, of, well, things that you've seen before. All right, walk in, be on your best behavior, and so the thing is, your guests here, you gotta approach the king. Now,
All right.
Going.
whoops. You see that there are 3 dwarves on the raised, up on the raised area. And they all are looking at you. They've made no gestures or motions. Nothing in greeting. There's a distinct lack of guards also. It's just the 3 dwarves on the raised area, and then the 6 of you.
Just
Well-
walk through to the like in the center, like we formation this a little bit, and just approach toward the center.
Okay. So you're in the center of the hall. Galvin actually stays behind. And so the 3 of you you're here. Now, obviously to scale, like I scale this up so you can see them more better. But everyone is the size that they should be, that you would expect. As you're approaching, you can see the details a little bit better. There are, of the 3 dwarves, and none of them are necessarily sitting on a throne or holding a scepter or anything along those lines. You see that there is one in the middle who actually does bear trappings of death. But not quite Ouija style. There's something it's close, but it's off. There's one who is wearing pelts and leathers, and carries an almost animalistic, like a primal demeanor. Looks very gruff. He's not pretty looking. He doesn't wear anything polished. And then there's a dwarf that, of any of them, might look the closest to the one that's on the door. He is old. He has a very long white beard. He does carry a staff as well. And the three of them are more or less actually just in this center part, standing here, and they make no gesture. They're watching you.
I'll do a polite curtsy.
Before we approach, and I get a look at the one in the middle, I'd like to make a religion check if I could.
Sure.
Ooh.
There is. I make a history as well, and you can do this at advantage, since you did well on your religion.
At
Okay.
advantage.
Yeah, 22 and a 22.
Second verse, same as the first. Put me on a plate, so I can put it on a house.
You, from the imagery that you see, this person would be almost in a sense like someone like Bambardalus was. You have someone who is familiar with Ouija's, but has a counter, is almost wearing the trappings of the thing that he is actually against. In a sense, he would be an oathbreaker. He would be an anti-paladin. He would be someone who reveres death, but almost in a way that is a death to death, if that makes sense.
Oh, I understand that completely. In fact, it would be to the point where we would be kin, him and I.
Mm-hmm.
In that sense, yes. Although Celine is a little bit more on death is still a secret thing, but we just up out the window. I just hit myself in the hand. Ow.
And maybe by extrapolation, the 3 here all bear, well, one almost seems to be wearing the pelt of bears, but in that sense, they might be wearing the trappings of foes or representations of the things that they have or want to conquer or hunt. Maybe not quite so obvious as the old man in the robes. Oh, and welcome, Raiders. Hi, everyone.
He wants to conquer death. He wants to conquer death. The one wants to conquer nature, and the one on the third one, the old guy, he probably wants to conquer something a little bit more esoteric, like time or something like that. That's the kind of feeling that I get.
So Galvin walks up and he tells you, so this is the part where you got to go and address the king.
I'm guessing you're gonna translate for us, yeah?
I will, but how do I don't want this to seem, you have to address the king first.
then we
In
shall...
that case, Mordecai actually wants to see if he can read who is the authority in the room. Because this seems to Mordecai part of the puzzle of an audience with the king.
Okay. Sure. Make an insight.
Gonna,
Not bad.
They all,
Gonna be,
each of the three exude a confidence. They certainly have distinct aspects. Maybe something like a wisdom or a power. So like a might of some kind. So they they feature things that are different, but they appear to you in equal measure or power.
None of them look like they're specifically the king.
the group is the king.
Not necessarily. I mean, one is wearing mighty and powerful armor. One is wearing a crown. One is carrying a very like a sagely ruler style staff.
The scepter. Yeah, that's why I get the very distinct feeling that they're all the king. That each of them...
I mean, why don't we just ask oh, what's his name?
Galvin?
Mordecai,
We
Galvin,
can
yeah, why
just
don't we
greet
ask
them all. Like, that's just the polite thing to do. Why is there argument about that? You can just greet them all.
Let's
Mordecai
each
is
greet. Let's each greet a different one.
Mordecai in that case is just going to go to the center, kind of open up his arms and bow, and just say, "Your Highness, Victor Io." Kind of looking to all three.
Yep, and Celine's gonna follow suit with Mordecai.
Right? What do you want to do?
I wish I could just observe, but I guess I can't. But I also agree that greeting them as a group is the correct approach. So I will go with them as well, and I guess they
Okay.
probably don't speak Infernal, so I'll just say something similar. Probably, your Royal Highness, we come to seek your audience. And I'll make a nice curtsy. I know how to make those.
Yeah, you do.
I've
Well
been
then,
doing them since the very first episode.
you have. That's true. That's a throwback, everyone. Bright was known for her curtsies. Then Norlai and Loki.
I also am doing a curtsy to all three, and Loki would do a humble bow.
Okay. So you all are, I mean, not lined up per se, but you're making a generic non-directional
Formation, yeah.
You're just speaking.
Yeah, basically. Like a non-directional kind of open formation in that we're addressing all three, if all three wish to be addressed, as Victor Io.
The three stand before you and watch your gesture. They're not unflinching, and they appear to breathe and, blink and do basic life necessity things. Though, as you do, there's no response nor reply from them as you make your generic address.
You know, this would work much better if this was the Cabal, because they all would respond. Because we're not supposed to know which one they are.
Your loyal subject, Galvin Carber, brought us before you with the intentions, I would hope, that we might seek your audience and perhaps tell you news of the Shadahar Empire. Does Galvin translate?
Yes. Make another insight check.
Okay.
Ooh, nice.
26.
Nice.
Oh, almost a natural 20.
So he translates, and while you do not speak Dwarven, there's a tone to his voice that is jovial. As is translated, and when he does, you see that the three of them on the dais or the raised area here, this platform, do look up from the five of you to him as he is translating and speaking. And they look back down to you all, and the three of them, each of them give a nod in understanding. One sort of like gives a nodding yes. Another one seemingly just strokes his beard, and the third is just silent and observant. And Mordecai, as you say that, the doors behind you that were closed push open. And if you recall, I said that perhaps even you could open these powerful stone doors yourself. As a servant of some kind, actually barges in. Doesn't exactly slam the doors open, but just pushes in and speaks something in a controlled but urgent tone in Dwarven. But you do understand Shadahar as a name in that sentence. And the three on the stage look at the look to this messenger who's come in, and the messenger is kneeling with like head down in respect as he gives this message, something Shadahar, something. And Galvin does not translate this for you. Perhaps it's not intended for you. Though, Mordecai, make another insight.
Oh my. All the insight today. A little less good.
I'm gonna give... Oh, I guess it's too late. It's alright.
Okay. As this exchange is going on, there's definitely something kind of weird, Mordecai. Like, the messenger has a controlled, kind of frantic tone. You recognize the name Shadahar. You're not quite putting things together. I would like... This is probably going to fall to Celine, because I think she's the perception monkey in the group here. I would like one of you to make perception at advantage.
I'm already at advantage.
Because this is going to reflect that that there are other eyes who are also falling on this situation.
That's actually an awful roll.
Well, 26 is still going to be enough as you're in close proximity. Mordecai, you're noodling over this. There's definitely a sense of urgency. And Celine, as you're looking, you're doing some calculations as you're mentally following the trajectory of people's eyes and how their bodies are lined up. The servant stands up, turns to leave, and Galvin turns to you all, but not you all, but actually looks past you. Now, all of you can see this, but Celine, this is sort of the an aha moment for you in your calculations, as he shouts something in Dwarven. And behind you all, from the scene that you had turned around to see, there's noise of, some metal on metal or just some rustling of things. And Celine, everyone wasn't looking, or the messenger wasn't looking at the three on the stage as he was delivering his report. The angle of things. And now that you can see and hear what's behind you, where the eyes fall, the three who are on the stage are actually kneeling as well. The servant gets up and leaves. And Mordecai, this is now clicking over in your mind. The kind of the jovial delivery of your address to the vague people on the stage. Everything that's happening here, and now the sort of terse thing that Galvin had shouted up at the three who are there. Yeah, so I got my laugh in, but I'm really gonna need you to cooperate with me. Shadahar are coming. They're coming to see me, and you can't be here right now. And when I say you can't be here right now, you need to... we'll laugh about it later. Look, I do this all the time. We'll talk about it. Hi, I'm the king. I need you to go over there, and please make yourself scarce.
Right.
He still has a
Sure.
he still has a big grin on his face. At the start, but then it turns serious, and he...
Do you need help with anything?
He makes a flourish, and his body, in a blast, looks. He now turns into a more official-looking dwarf than just someone on the road who sings, tells tales, and has an avid interest in history. He is wearing maybe what you might expect to be at least more stately attire. But he doesn't even take the stairs. He actually just comes up here, climbs up with a little bit of a dwarvish oof as he pulls himself up. And he's there getting his robes in order. And he's asked you all to effectively, like, hide behind a pillar or something. You don't have a lot of time.
Okay. Is magic still off the table, Mr. Your Royal Galvin Highnessness? Also, that was a really good joke. That was the sort of thing that I think that was a prank worthy of a gnome.
Yeah, do it all the
Yep,
time. Love to
that's
see
fair.
what people think of us, especially who they think that we follow. Anyway, talk about it later. Look, just don't kill anyone, please. But sure, magic, just get at it. Just get out of sight.
All right. I'm going to cast
I'm
a level
going-
6 invisibility so
Ooh.
that we can all
Oh.
become quite literally out of sight.
Okay.
Oh. Well, look at that.
And then we're going to go ahead and actually
Get behind pillars.
get behind pillars.
Just
as well. So
remember, no
I'm gonna
spells
go
while
ahead-
you're invisible, or you'll become visible again.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and roll a stealth with advantage.
Yes. I'm gonna hide behind pillar.
Before the invisibility hits, I
I
think.
don't know,
that's
Bright, if you have
big
a favorite pillar, but I don't know. You can tell me if you want to be
Go ahead.
somewhere else. But
I'll also be casting a
Yeah,
guidance on myself before the invisibility goes off.
Okay, that's fair. No, I don't have a favorite pillar. Any pillar will do.
okay. So you turn invisible and scamper. Now, the very sage-looking dwarf on the stage, even though you are invisible, and as far as you know, you have you're sneaking off to the side, seems to be able to see you just fine as he's following you with his eyes, and gives, at least Bright, he gives you a small nod as you pass by the stairs up. And poor Celine, turning invisible, can't see her feet and kind of oofs on the floor. Ugh, as you trip over your robes here for a second, you clatter and you get back up, and Mordecai sort of helps you up, and although you're invisible, so he doesn't grab you by the hand at first, you give another oof, and then just of a different variety, and you stand up and you hide behind the pillar. Let me zoop. That goes, and then we go to. Let me get the next. This is the one. Oh no, not that one. Sorry, I should have drugged this up to the top, and I did. I'm like, I'm totally just gonna hit the play button, and we're gonna go from there. Dun-dun-dun. Okay. So the you all scamper and leave, and there's a short moment that feels like a long moment as there's silence in the hall, and you can see that, well, if you believe the old trickster, the king of the dwarves, who's been Galvin this whole time, is up on the stage awaiting someone, some kind of a presence from Shadahar to arrive. That same servant comes back in once more, though instead of more or less barging in through the very well-made doors that swing open, is very stiff, has a little bit of a nervousness to him, makes a loud proclamation in Dwarven, and also in Shadahar Common, with a pretty good accent with it as well. Now, announcing the presence, which is interesting, maybe even a little jarring coming from a dwarf, getting this accent that you're not used to. Governor Sapfolk. I'll write it down just in case this is a major NPC to you. And the dwarven retainer steps aside, and there is a military contingent that walks in. They are armed and they are armored, and there's seems to be a mix of soldiers, magic users of some variety, most likely clerics of Ouijas, given their attire, in their particular holy symbols and other implements. And then, and this is a great mix as well. You get tieflings, you get humans, and there's actually even a couple dwarves that are in Shadahar military uniform as well. There's a look around, and you can see that someone in robes is their eyes light up for a moment and do a quick scan. Now, at least you, Bright, are picking up that you are behind a physical pillar. So even if they can see magic, they're seeing a stone pillar. As you all are sort of ducking out of the way here of this. There's a gesture, and a small contingent go back out of this main, this throne room of a sort. And then a figure walks in who's not a tiefling, not a dwarf, not a human, a dragonborn? Though that would certainly be a rarity in Shadahar. you see beautiful emerald green scales. Vivid, almost color shifting. But there's something about the presence of the governor this isn't a dragonborn. He's way too tall. His body is humanoid, but just the way that he also has horns and claws. There's something unnatural. And it would hit you all. As he goes to speak and address you all, there's even a green glow from inside his mouth, let alone something that would almost be like almost a green smoke made of light that is emanating from his eyes, giving him a very otherworldly look. Otherworldly might actually be a way to describe it. You might very well be looking at a green Abishai. Though the clothing is very Shadahar, has been tailored to his unique physiology. As you have this recreated artificial dragon person. Victor Io. I have come on behalf of the Empire to inform you that the Emperor is dead. And the king crosses his arms on stage. And in Dwarven replies something. I am here not only to inform you of the passing of the Emperor, but to also seek knowledge that perhaps you may have as to the responsible party or parties. As you can imagine, we are sparing no expense in our search for answers. There's a pause from the king, and the three other dwarves are motioned to come closer. Something is said between them, probably also in Dwarven. And the king replies something back in kind. Your cooperation is appreciated during this trying time. I am surprised, King Victor, that you are so capable of holding back your tears at the news of the Emperor's passing away. A comment from the king to the governor. Of course, your condolences shall duly be noted. And I expect that you will provide all manner of resource that we may need as we look for who was responsible. This has the potential to disrupt a lot of things for us. Hopefully, one of those things won't be the peace. the one of the three dwarves, the one wearing the Ouija style attire, steps forward and just merely gets a syllable out in Dwarven before the king holds his hand out and stops him. The king replies back in kind with a measured tone and a straight face. Very well. I apologize that this is not the usual inspection, and time spent together in order to compare notes for mutual cooperation between our peoples. The more you work with me, the less you have to work with me. I understand. I truly do. I do not envy your position, King Io. Victor, if you prefer. We have several units here, and back at Bleasbane. Hopefully, we will conduct our business smoothly and be on our way, finding no evidence of corroboration or harbor of those who might be responsible. That would be very, very disastrous. Governor Sapfolk turns expertly on heel, even with a little bit of a flourish from the demi-cape he's wearing as part of his custom-tailored uniform. Adjusts himself. Leave them be. I'm sure they have much to discuss, and we have our own work to do. The soldiers give a salute, and the governor and the troops march out of the throne room. The doors close. Galvin, as you had come to know him, seems to breathe for the first time in that way too long exchange. And he himself now almost falls to a knee. And he looks pale, and he looks very, very concerned. Definitely not the jovial person that you had known as just another farmer, let alone apparently the actual king amongst the people, amongst his subjects. And the more bearish-looking dwarf comes over to help him up, gives him a shoulder. The king looks over to the one who had stepped forward to say something, who descends down and walks to the door, seemingly leaning against it casually. The old one comes down, comes over to where you are hiding behind the pillar bright, and looks you straight in the eyes despite your invisibility, and tells you that it is safe to leave and speak. He must also have cast tongues, because he is speaking to you in perfectly accented and localized Gnomish. Because I'm sure there's several meanings in of hide or, whatever, stealth or something.
Well, at least we know where they stand.
Yeah. They are definitely looking for us.
Right, specifically? I mean, I guess they're also looking for us, but
No,
right
they're
specifically?
looking for... No, not me. I don't want to be wanted everywhere. Who they're looking for is Mercury, but she's dead. Mercury is the one that killed him. She
Yeah,
said the whole
but they
thing-
don't know that.
Yeah, well, they don't know anything though. She said the
Right.
whole
I'm
thing.
pretty sure some people saw you, though.
They're probably looking for us by
No.
virtue of the fact that they probably walked in to see the Emperor, the Child Emperor, as a pile of dust while you and Tam escaped to the Repentless and we got out of there. They're looking for all of us and the Repentless.
Well,
Us,
good
we can
news.
hide.
Tam
Big
isn't
ship.
with us, and the Repentless is wrecked, so they're not really looking for anything they're gonna find.
Yeah, but if they scour it with magic, it'll only be a matter of time. Until they get a ping from the engines.
Or the illusion that this ship is concocted.
Oh yeah, there's a big honking illusion.
Yeah, exactly. Giant beacon of, here I am.
So maybe we should get the ship to go?
I mean, it's wrecked. I don't think it can fly.
You know, if it's under repairs, it's going to take time. But
And we
that's
can't
not
just
my
get
that's not my
Salter to leave
concern.
without it.
That's not my concern.
Sure, Cypher
not-
and Selter can manage themselves.
Yeah, but again, not my concern.
What is your concern?
My concern's that governor. That isn't no Dragonborn I've ever seen.
Yeah,
That
no,
looked
he
more like a
definitely.
primordial dragon, like one of the half demon, half dragon things from Wayo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah,
that
really
was
nice
a
ones.
demon.
Much like Casimir.
More like Abby, I think.
Yeah. Also, right, can't you ask him about those things? About the ship?
Who? Cypher?
Yeah.
I mean, I probably could. Sure. Why not? This will be extra fun. I'll conjure up Peggy Sue.
Okay. a a tiny professor appears.
So, this is fun. You won't be able to see us because we're all still invisible.
Well,
This
you're
is highly
not.
unorthodox, says a very tiny
No, of course I
professor.
am. Of course I am.
Like, cool.
It's not a
Because
spell.
the
to
spell's
conjure
already been
Peggy Sue.
cast. Yeah.
It's not a spell. It's not a spell.
Oh, right, yeah, no,
I can summon
you're
Peggy Sue.
summoning, yeah.
Yeah.
She already exists.
So, hi. So how are things going on the ship? Are they more orthodox there?
It's still in need of repairs.
Do you need any parts or materials or
Yes.
workmanship?
In short, what happened was, oh dear. Can I speak to this company?
Yes, this
tiny,
is
tiny
the
professor.
This is King Victor Io of the Dwarven lands of Queensland.
Yeah. And it's a whole big thing, but he's on our side, which is nice. Or he's playing a
not
really long
particularly-
con.
King,
Does
it's
he
a
not
pleasure to
particularly-
meet
So far,
you.
it seems like he's on our side.
I am normally a lot taller than this, but I suppose this will have to do. I'm going to be saying a lot of things, and you're going to have to become comfortable with it very quickly. In short, in order to repair the Repentless, we're going to need raw materials. Let's put it that way. I think that the present party might know what I'm talking about. Raw materials. And in order to really help it function, it took a lot out of Selter. And by that, it took a lot away from her, because she holds things very dearly, and that was the price to pay. So the fuel isn't just biomass. We actually also need we need treasure. We need wealth. We need things that she cares about. She's in a bit of a state right now, I'll tell you that. Quite frankly, being here and being tiny is a bit of a vacation.
I mean, it is
Well.
fun being tiny, isn't it? Sometimes
Well.
I do it just for fun.
Cypher, there's likely a contingent of Shadahar troops headed your way. I'm pretty sure that'll fulfill the first prerequisite just fine.
I can't deny that. If you just so happen to have a contingent of Shadahar troops and equipment, I'm sure that Selter can eat that, and she'll feel a lot better. He's gonna turn to the king. King Io, I don't suppose you have several million gold pieces lying around, or treasures of incalculable wealth that we can use for
Cypher.
fuel?
Cypher.
Just convince Selter to go find more wealth elsewhere. You know,
Kinda
that'll get her
hard.
going.
I don't think Selter's probably in the talking mood, if I'm being honest.
I-
If I have any indication of what happened to get us here,
I can't quite... Her magic is rather baffling, but some of the concepts at least are consistent. It's just that instead of, I guess, what we might call the normal components to magic, hers is wealth, power. These are the things that she cares about and she holds to be valuable. And as such, that's what's consumed when, well, she is coaxed into repeated uses of the chronostatic undulation mobility ability, I suppose.
Oh.
It kind of takes a lot out of you.
It's not going to be easy for us
Yeah,
to
I
get
can
money.
imagine.
We've been struggling with money
And
this
it's-
entire time.
I think it's fairly rude to ask a country to empty its coffers for
Especially one
us.
that might be involved in a military conflict soon if things don't go
I believe
Right,
that
they're
we are in
gonna
a
need
state
that.
that is beyond politeness. All due respect, King Victor Io, I believe it was. Pleasure to meet you. Professor Cypherius. Tiny Cypherius, I suppose. Yes, if you so happen to have incalculable wealth that we can use for fuel, that would be of great assistance. We have a world to save after all. I can fill you in on the details later, but otherwise, send a couple carts with some stuff, please. Otherwise, I don't know.
if we'll be able to get airborne.
I don't know if I
But-
can otherwise realign Selter. It might be possible, but I can't think of a way to.
Okay. I think
That might be something we have to forego for the moment.
Well, no. I think, if anything, that currently the entire nation here finds itself in a spot of strife, shall we say. Because I heard exactly what Sapfolk said.
Yeah, if they don't cooperate.
One wrong step will mean that they decide to try and bring their boot down upon you.
I
We
think
are
they're scrambling. They're without a leader.
to an extent. We are responsible for that.
Well, it depends on
And
how
so
much
as-
of a leader the Emperor was, because he was still a child.
So I propose thus an accord, if you will, that in return for helping us get back up into the sky and out of your hair, that we deal with this.
We're
Yeah,
not
well,
military strategists, Elaine.
I'd love to help you. I just don't seem to have, prodigious wealth here in the remote estate here. This is the, this is of course the, not the actual source of wealth for our kingdom.
You'd have
For that, we'd actually have to go to El Atzua, and, well, frankly, I'd have to also run that by the Queen, because, look, I understand, and if I could snap my fingers and make the Empire go away, I'd do so, at almost any expense of material wealth, but frankly, I just can't do it myself. I think a trip to the mountain's gonna be in order.
I think that will be quite so. And
Have to smuggle us there.
Not impossible to do. In fact, I could even send you with one of my advisors here. Make it official business, though of course you might have to wear a bit of a disguise. Hopefully that won't grate against you.
I have
Not at
no
all.
issues with disguises.
I guess it depends on how you choose your
Disguises.
disguises.
Well, alright.
I dressed up as Mordecai once.
Thing is,
You did?
the less magic the better, because that's what they'd be looking for. So we'd have to be, creative in our application.
I just so happen to be very good with disguise kits.
Well, I
Thank you.
will, I have resources for that, available here. Just, not, on demand, several million gold pieces and, valuables of incalculable wealth. No offense to you, Tiny Cipher. Professor,
take it indubitably.
Professor Tiny Cipher, please.
I love this. I love this so much.
Right. Well, tell you what, I don't know if you can get any sleep. I think I'm gonna have to, because I about passed out there. And I need to make some arrangements, it seems, and quickly. So I'm gonna leave you to sleep or not, because if nothing else, I'm gonna put you in one of my airships, direct to go back to the mountain. That said, think of a disguise and play it cool, because odds are, they're gonna have people in the sky, and they're probably gonna want to search the airship, which I wouldn't like, but if I don't play along, there's gonna be violence.
Right, we don't want that for your people.
And therefore, yeah, you've got to play along too. So come up with a story, come up with a disguise. I can send you first thing in the morning, but that's the best I got. I'll also send a writ along, because I can't go with you. Me and my wife, we've got to stay apart unless it's a stately,
As you said, for producing heirs and things.
Yeah, well, okay, if you're just gonna put it like that, sure, yeah.
I know.
I think there is no
I mean, you can always visit with the
no
precursor.
love lost between us for the formalities.
I've been separated
of,
from my wife before. I know I know the feelings.
I mean, to be fair, that involved a rather deadly case of death.
Well, when you put it that way, I was trying to make light of it like you were earlier.
Oh, whoop-de-doo. I died. You died. Norelei has died. I'm pretty sure the only one here who hasn't died is our dear king, his advisors, and Bright. And for Bright, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Was
it's
the
a little
skull for a while?
ambiguous. I didn't really die, I just became undead. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
It
exactly
counts
what I
enough,
did.
I guess. Close enough.
So what we're going to
Yeah.
do is we will break here for the week, but the homework that you all have is as follows. One, come up with disguises and a story such that if the ship is boarded on your way from the countryside to the mountain, you can reasonably pass as non-magically disguised dwarves. And two, you can choose which one of the king's 3 advisors you would want to go with you. You can choose this, anti-paladin of a sort. You want to call him an Oathbreaker, a Blackguard, or something. We're talking more of the heavy hitter, who certainly has, who is willing to step forward and speak something, to the governor. but while the others didn't. You can have the more maybe like a healer style, because you had this one come over to help the king up, who was looking rather pale and weak-kneed. So he does seem to be big and strong. He might have some kind of maybe a natural bend. He does wear pelts and leathers. He does have sticks and other natural things woven into his beard. So they may not be religious, but he might be the closest thing to it. Or you have this more sagely, possibly wizard, to go along, who might be more of an int based, someone who might be able to answer questions, or know lore and stories. So you get to choose. Which one you'd like to go with you, and how you want to pass yourselves off as guests, attendants, or mechanics, or something aboard the royal barge that would leave from here to go back to the mountain to go see the queen. So there you go. There's your homework.
I mean, Mordecai and Orla and Loki Adius could probably get away with fake accents and just be Shadahar. Celine, if she covered her ears, could probably also get away with that. Bright would probably have to dress up as a dwarf.
I was thinking I might be able to dress up like a gobbo, but because I'm pretty small for a dwarf.
Yeah, dwarves are still
I realize
kind of
that sounds
stocky.
odd, but yeah, but they're they're
A young
chunk-
dwarf.
They're
Young
heckin'
dwarf.
chaunters, and I'm
They're like
very,
4.5, 5 feet tall.
very,
Yeah,
very willowy.
I'm a very tall dwarf.
very tall dwarf. You're 5'9".
Very tall dwarf.
I'm not sure. Boy, that's gonna
And-
be. Oh.
And the tall dwarf.
I'm very tall. I'm 6 foot.
You also have horns and a tail.
Yes, I do.
3 of you have horns and a tail. Distinct features that dwarves do
Which
not
is
have.
why we
We're
should
Paul
practice our
Bunyan
Shadahar.
We're Paul Bunyan dwarfs.
Yeah, disguising yourself as Shadahar-style tieflings was probably a lot easier. Just have to practice your funny accent.
Now it.
Oh, please don't
Now
make
it
me do
is what
that.
brings us here today.
No, please don't make me do that accent. I refuse.
You're gonna be doing it.
I'm refusing.
I'm just gonna go.
Oh man,
Ulo.
your DM spent the last 3 weeks talking with a dwarven accent. You can't do it for one airship
No,
ride. I see how it
No,
is.
I-
I see how it is.
That ooh
Love.
woo.
Oh,
How
Oh,
dare you,
Shadahar
sir?
accent.
You are
you?
disrespecting the royal Shadahar accent of Common, the official language of the Empire.
Look, VTuber speech is not my stick.
VTubers.
I am
Have you heard
offended.
how VTubers talk? Have you heard? I'm sorry.
I am so offended right now.
No, Coffee.
Oh, don't they talk like this, Omo?
No. No, they
As a
do not.
VTuber who doesn't uwu. I'll do it occasionally, but who doesn't normally uwu, I am offended.
I mean, to be fair, I don't know many VTubers. I just assumed.
Well, you
I
assumed
have a
wrong.
woo-woo.
All the VTubers I watch are degenerates, so yeah, no, they definitely don't do the Hulu language. They have
Okay,
said
maybe
things that I cannot
maybe the
repeat.
family-friendly VTubers do.
VTuber, family friendly. Pick one.
Offended!
No, I'm sorry, but
We're a family-friendly group of
Dark
degenerates playing D&D.
Dark Wolf, you have to admit that you being PG-13 is the exception, not the norm.
I'm not PG-13 because I do cuss, but yeah, I'm not a degenerate.
Oh, we're all degenerates here. You've been friends with us for a long enough time that you're a degenerate just like the rest of us. It's
Yes.
infectious. It's just by association at this point, honestly.
It's true. Guilty by
I don't think
association.
that's how that works.
Guilty by association. We claimed you.
Yeah.
You're part of the family now.
Well, what we're gonna do, everyone, out in the audience anyway. I mean, for the crew, we can sit and decompress and talk about things if you'd like. I'm gonna take us on a raid to Good Enough Painting, who's doing a 12-hour marathon of mini painting that also includes a lot of giveaways. Something that apparently happens on this channel every now and again.
I mean, nearly every day.
So I'm going to take you over to Good Enough, and then I'm going to have to go and scoop up Dark Wolf to go get some inventory input into our system and on the shelf for the weekend.
Yay! Late night work.
Yeah, maybe we'll stream it. We'll see.
Breakfast. Almost
We'll
ready.
see.
Job security.
My
next 2 weeks is gonna have me working like 5 to 9 p.m. So late night work.
Well, hopefully we'll get you for the Fridays here.
It's 2:30 in the
Oh,
morning.
you will. It's